Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome back once again to Automobilista 2. Yes, we're back today once more. Obviously, I did a video last week where we took 1960s Formula 1 cars to the 1960s version of the Spa-Francorchamps Formula 1 circuit. So today, we're stepping kind of another 10 years forward in time, and this time around, we're going to be heading out in the 1970s Formula 1 cars. For those of you that haven't watched the other videos I've done on Automobilista 2 recently, all I can basically say is, it's not sponsored or anything like that, but if you're an F1 fan that's bored of F1 24 and you're on PC, buy this game. And just buy it now, because I promise you, it'll be worth your time and worth your money. Now, Formula 1, like we said, in the 1960s was incredibly dangerous. Formula 1, by the time we got into the 70s, they had admittedly started to try and fix some of the things. Now, that didn't stop the racing at the Nordschleife, though, which I think is going to be where we're heading to in today's race. But it still was a pretty wild time to, you know, kind of be alive, of course. We kind of saw this huge shift from the very early 70s, you know, kind of coming off the back of the 1960s, if it was still very dangerous, to kind of by the end of the 70s, you know, massive career-ending accidents and things like that were almost, you know, they were becoming less and less common, which I think was quite a good thing as well. You know, you had Lotus still winning world championships. You had, of course, Hunt versus Lauda of 1976 as well. And, of course, obviously, as we went into the 1980s, a couple of seasons there where kind of accidentally Formula 1 was on a very, very parallel level between a lot of teams as well then. But yeah, if we have a look then today in terms of the cars available to us in this class of car, of course, you can see Spa from the last episode. Obviously, we've got some, I believe they're in the Formula Retro cars of the 1970s. So this was kind of the era of the huge airboxes, as you would see. You know, aerodynamics had started to become a bit more of a thing. So, you know, we've got the likes of the Brabham BT44, a couple of, obviously, other games retro cars, the Lotus 72E, and the McLaren M23 as well, which obviously James Hunt would win his one and only Formula 1 World Championship in. There are a couple of other retro cars, but these are kind of more from the very early 80s as well, so I think we're going to be sticking with the Gen 1s today. And then, you know what, I think obviously we've got the option of either the V8 or the V12. I want to try a V12 quickly. A bit more power. Hopefully it's going to be a bit louder. I think what we'll do, though, is we'll jump into the race, probably actually think in the Brabham BT44. But I'm going to quickly take the V12 retro car out first. Well, I figured then for our first little drive in this car, we would head to a circuit that I don't believe had actually held a Formula 1 Grand Prix at this point. This, of course, is the kind of younger brother, if you will, to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, and today we are heading then to 1972 Imola. Of course, Ferrari, known for their big shouty V12 cars, so I think it's only fair that we bring a V12 back to, obviously, their local circuit as well. Now, obviously, Imola, you know, we've still got it in modern day Formula 1, you know, a lot of the circuit still feels very, very familiar. This one, though, slightly more dangerous, as most things were back in the 1970s. As you might be able to see by the mini-map, the kind of idea of chicanes hadn't really become a real thing just yet. Oh, does we make a mistake down at Tosa? That was a fairly low-speed incident there, and somehow avoided picking up any damage onto the car as well. But yeah, obviously, you know, we've got Tosa there like we do now. Obviously, you've got the, you know, you make your way up the hill in towards the next corner, but there's just kind of, well, first of all, there's no room for error around most of this circuit. It's either circuit or guardrail. This was actually, I'm pretty certain, back in the day as well, when Imola was still used, you know, as a proper road still. So obviously that's kind of a very, very early version of Aqua Minerale down at the bottom of the hill. Of course, now will be where you come up towards the chicane. Not back in 1972, though. Like I said, chicanes, I can only assume chicanes hadn't been invented yet. As to why there's just none of them here. But, oh, no. Just got a little bit wide, trying to avoid hitting anything. Oh, no. That was not ideal. Completely back end just got away from me there as we went over the top of the hill. And, oh, well, I couldn't even do a full lap I mean, first of all, can we just appreciate how good this V12 sounds? I mean, the car obviously doesn't look as good as like a real car, just because obviously the livery and everything. I genuinely didn't mean to pick the number 69 either. That is just pure coincidence. Ready for this one, but just see, I think we nicked the grass slightly on the inside. Tried to keep it out of the wall there. Definitely going to sustain a fair amount of whiplash in that accident as well. And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, look how big the rear tyres are. How much rubber would you like? Yes. Right, well, we'll try and go again then just to get a proper lap on the board here. Of course, still having to use my heel and toe technique as best as I can. Now, this car, I mean, doesn't... Oh. Like I said, they were starting to figure out aero, but there was definitely more of an emphasis on power back in the early 1970s, and it was just kind of, how can we try and tame this power as best as we can? Now, at Spa last time out, we were able to hit 300 kilometers an hour in the slipstream. I think because obviously this thing has got, big wings on it, and obviously especially the huge tyres, it's not actually any quicker up at the top end there. You see, we're doing 290 Ks by we make our way up in towards Tosa. But yeah, definitely, they're not much quicker in a straight line there. It was actually meant to be kind of, obviously, as you found more and more pace, through the corners. And I mean, revving up 12,000 RPM. Whoa. Just here there, just to try and not do the money shift on the gearbox on the exit. I mean, those huge rear tyres aren't doing a lot. It's still just trying to break free from us wherever we possibly can there, as again, down through Aqua Minerale. I think that... whoa. Oh, hello. Hold on to it. Thank you. I'm pretty certain that used to be someone's driveway down there. You got another house there. Free tickets for the Grand Prix, of course, I'm sure. But just... Imola is one of those great circuits, I think it's going to be dropped off the F1 calendar pretty soon. But it is going to be a shame, because it is kind of a weird little circuit as well, of kind of... pure Italian, isn't it? You think they're building these ridiculously loud V12s, Ferrari, Lamborghini, the Fiat group as well back in the day, Alfa Romeo as well. But, they need a racetrack, so why not just build one in the town you're already at? Nowhere else in the world would that happen apart from Italy. Obviously, here in the UK, we use air bases, or, disused World War II airfields, that kind of thing, but... yeah, in Italy they do things in a slightly different way, which I always absolutely love. That 290 clicks again as you try and find the breaking point there, that horrible left leading into the right. Obviously the end of, well, I think Sector 1, yeah, there you go, Tosa. Apparently the exit of Tosa is the end of that first sector, but yeah, obviously this place, not the Temple of Speed like Monza, but certainly not kind of too slow either in the grand scheme of things. It's, apart from this middle sector, really from Tosa and here. Slap the wall there, that was not ideal. I think I've given myself some suspension damage as well, but yeah, it's certainly, not quite the circuit that Monza is, but I think almost as picturesque still as trying to get the car back round to the pit lane as well, but just ridiculous. Like I said, these things were starting to get a little bit safer, but certainly weren't safe by any stretch of the imagination as well. And of course, yeah, you've got these last couple of corners, which are even more just one flowing hairpin than we get in Monday Formula 1. Oh, no! As well there, but there we go. We've given this thing... I mean, I've written off this car, sadly. Like I said, I think I'm going to take the Brabham out for a proper race, though. But I think we're going to find another circuit that hosted Grand Prix back in the 70s. Well, here we are then at the original 1971 version of the Nurburgring. Obviously, this isn't even the Nordschleife, because this venue is even longer, 28 kilometers. So, rather unsurprisingly, I'm only going to be doing one lap. Ready for this one? And I'll be honest, I've got no idea where we are going. If I can survive a lap around here, I will walk away a very, very happy man. I mean, look at that! Immediately, we're just getting thrown what felt like off the edge of the earth through the first couple of corners. Obviously, this is kind of around where the modern, Formula 1, or ex-Formula 1 Grand Prix layout used to be, but this is barely wide enough for one car. I'm trying to make it too wide. With the guy on my outside there, I think we'll just about squeeze out on the exit, but this feels utterly ridiculous. I'm genuinely never done a lap of this version of the Nurburgring ever on any game. So really, really cool that Automobilista has got it. So I might have just overshot that. No, we'll get it slowed down again. I mean, look at the crowds on the outside of the venue as well. Very, very cool to see. And, you know, you just don't get this kind of experience in other sim racing games at the moment. Well, I'm tempted at some point to do some low-fuel motorsport here on IMS2 over on Map 2 and 2 Racing, you know, my general kind of sim racing and competitive racing channel as well. Just because the amount of fun I'm having on this game right now, I want to kind of see how we fare going up against other people. There's down the inside, try to avoid the inside curve there as we went past Moser. By the look of it, there are some of the real names as well. Enzo Fittipaldi, of course, an iconic Brazilian Formula 1 world champion, leading the field at the front of the grid. But I mean, look how narrow it is up through this section. And we're going wheel to wheel at like 150 miles an hour. Well, through parts there, as again, we just about hang on to it. Try and cover him off on the exit of the corner. Otherwise, I think, yeah, we were gonna run into even more trouble. So, I mean, this version, I genuinely was not expecting all of this early on in the lap. I had no idea this is what the old kind of first part of the Nord... Well, I'm going to keep calling it the Nordschleife. I believe this version was called the Suderschleife, which basically just meant, like, the all lap, or, like, everything that was included. So, I mean, just the other side of that wall was obviously where we started on this venue as well. But now we head on, hopefully, to an area of the circuit that I'm going to recognise a little bit more. Of course, why wouldn't you have a heavily banked corner to try and set yourself up for it? But this immediately just starts to become a little bit more familiar as well. Then I've got no idea kind of how long this entire lap's going to take us on the combined layout as well. But I am looking forward to it immediately. Yeah, this all starting just to feel a bit more real to me. Obviously, this version of the circuit has remained fairly unchanged, you know, pretty much throughout its entire history. Green Hell, obviously, I still think is the greatest circuit in the Formula 1 world there. It's just my first little off of the lap. Sure, it probably won't be my last, annoyingly. But yeah, this place, though, obviously hosted Formula 1 Grand Prix up until 1976. Obviously, Lauda's crash here, which obviously I will point out to you guys when we get to it. Obviously, the final kind of nail in the coffin for the original Nordschleife. You know, this is one of those places that a Formula 1 car will never run in anger at once again. And although on the one hand that's, you know, a little bit sad, on the other hand, you can absolutely understand why this place is certainly not safe enough for Formula 1 machinery. I mean, the fact that a race circuit like this is still in use for, like, GT3 racing and things like that, I think in of it itself is pretty special. And of course, the fact that I've been around this circuit as well, I absolutely love that. Went many, many years ago with my dad and did a lap, and, well, I'd love to take my car there at some point down the line. Maybe that's a future video in a few years, as that was not what I wanted to do. Oh no, don't rejoin, sorry. Might have rejoined in front of that guy. Yeah, just trying to, you know, keep it going as best as I can there. But yeah, that corner, of course, notorious still, even today, on the exit of Foxhole, and especially the curbs right there. I mean, a few of them through the corners are a little bit kind of more shaped fairly for you, and kind of mount them a little bit. But curbs, just back in the day, were, you know, where is this idea that suddenly we need to be able to lean on curbs come from inside Formula 1? This section actually feeling more open than it is nowadays, but it feels like, yeah, the trees are a lot further back as well. There's a lot more places for, like, fans to watch and things like that around this part of the circuit. There's nowhere to stand up there in modern day Formula 1, so, you know, again, I'm pretty certain this, you know, it is meant to be very, very realistic to, you know, how the circuit was based in real life. Obviously, sadly, not a laser scan, but, you know, they've taken a lot of, like, photographic data and things like that. And obviously, you know, just photos as well to try and make it seem believable. I mean, you can see some of the cars heading up the other side, off, obviously, the other side of the bridge there, winding their way up and towards the hills. And, I mean, imagine... Oh, hello. That jump was bigger than I thought it would be. That's certainly very different now. But, I mean, coming here and watching these cars going around must have been an experience of its own. Imagine driving one of these things around here, you know. One moment you're fine, like we saw at Spa. The next moment, you're gone. Obviously, this was the corner where Niki Lauda, he came out of here, just got a little bit too heavy on the throttle. I don't know if he hit some oil or exactly what happened. But yeah, it would be just up through here. And then obviously he would have his accident pretty much at this part of the circuit, which of course almost took his life. But obviously still, somehow, to be back in a Formula 1 car, whoa, only just a couple of months later. And, well, that's a good reminder of just how quickly you can go badly, badly wrong through that section of the circuit as well. Of course, in a modern race car, all of it up here completely flat out until you get to this kink where, yeah, you just got to blend off, not even down a gear in this Formula 1 car, but certainly still very, very scary. And again, avoiding kind of bouncing off the curb as best as we can as well. I mean, you've even got like the run up through, obviously, what is now just like, not really an escape road as such, but a service road. One of the very, very few that exist around this venue. Of course, probably the Nurburgring's most famous corner, Carousel. Not the best job. It's staying tucked in there as well, but certainly rewarding when you do. And, well, honestly, I think this final part is actually my favourite part of the circuit, because all these corners, fast and flowing. So, Como then, not giving me any room to have a bit of a sniff down the inside. We'll get down the inside at the very next corner, though, so at least we're not in last place anymore. I believe he's running my V12 that obviously we used in the practice laps at Imola, so I think that thing's actually a little bit slower than the others around this circuit. Maybe just a bit too heavy. Or, as we just nudge the grass again, lucky that we're able to kind of hold that one in a straight line, and the car didn't want to rotate around on me yet again. But, I mean, look, it's so similar to kind of what we know now in real life of the Nordschleife, but it all still feels very, very different as well. At the same time, you know, you got a rough idea of where you're going on this layout, but it's certainly still not quite the same, I guess, as well. Luckily for us at the end of the lap, well, we're going to be able to test the top speed of the car. Maybe we can get a bit of a slipstream as over this horrible jump still exists in real life. Or just braking on the way in there, didn't want to upset the front end too badly on the way through. And it's even the fact you can hear the other cars, the sounds bouncing off of the trees, whoa, and everything else. I mean, again, you just get slightly out of line through there, and the car will absolutely punish you. But if you can be a little bit brave, you can certainly make it worth your while as well. As I mean, look at, again, all the availability to watch. This is all just now like tree lines and things like that around this, you know, the modern version of the circuit as well. Through mini carousel we go. This is usually the sign that you're getting towards the end of a lap here. And luckily we've caught up to a couple of other drivers. I think the big thing I've noticed, though, which obviously is still very much, whoa, apparent today, is just how few opportunities there are to overtake around this venue. I mean, you do basically just wait for this main straight here to really be able to do anything, but unlike modern day, this is not flat. It's just so much elevation and things like that, as well as I caught up at completely the wrong time there. 290 kilometers an hour. I'm in the hedge, though. I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the hedge. Luckily, we're able to keep it going. But even there, where it's obviously nice and wide open nowadays, absolutely not the case. Back in the 1970s, over the bridge we go, or under the bridge, I should say, in towards the final couple of corners. No idea kind of how much we need to break through here. No, this is all very similar to how we kind of remember from real life as well then. But I believe as we make our way through the final couple of corners, can we snatch an extra spot? No, we can't. But what an experience that has been. My first ever lap around the classic version of the Nordschleife. I only gained one place throughout that entire loop, but boy oh boy was that good fun as well there. I mean, the cooldown lap must have taken, oh hello, must have taken such a long time as well around this venue, but I mean, it's just so cool, the level of detail that is on this layer as well. I want to try, just quickly, I want to just see if we can explore a little bit more just around this section of the circuit, because of course obviously this would be where the short layout was. Well, you go kind of, well, it's basically just around a hairpin, as apparently I'm doing lawn mowing instead at the moment. Can we get around that? Oh, it will let me around. That's pretty cool as well. So yeah, the short version, obviously you go around here and obviously pop back out at the, you know, kind of end of that first sector. But I'll be honest, I'm definitely going to do some more laps around here in some various machinery as well. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Next week, we're going to be taking 1980s Formula 1 cars out. I'll be honest, of course, late 1980s, early 1990s. For me, just is Ayrton Senna doing laps at Monaco. Maybe we'll do that then. Maybe we'll wait for our 1990s video in a couple of weeks' time. If you haven't already, pick up Automobilista 2. It is so much fun. And we'll be back very soon with more Formula 1 content.